This is our first direct variation video. The learning target of this video is I can calculate a unit rate. This video goes with the direct variation 1 worksheet and specifically the front of that worksheet. Now you should go ahead and read through the top, which gives you a very brief synopsis of some big ideas in middle school math, rate and unit rate. If you'd like some more information, you may have already talked about this in your Math 6 class, and you could go back to your book, Ratios, Rates, and Statistics. You could go online, and the blocks that you'll be looking at are block 1 and 2. Another resource would be the 7th grade book, Proportions and Probability, block 1. Because this discussion is very brief, and if you want some more, go ahead and look at those other resources. For algebra, really all we need you to know for this very important topic is this idea of a unit rate. So going from a rate, $10 for 4 apples, and converting that into a unit rate by dividing the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. There's a couple of ways to write it, and I just wanted to point out that in addition to these two ways here where you write the fraction of the unit rate or the per, you could also write it like this, and sometimes this will make more sense. For money, this looks really weird. 2 5/10 dollars per apple. But that is another option. So when we ask for the unit rate, any of these 3 ways of writing it is fine. The big idea here of the unit rate is how many of that top quantity go with one of the bottom quantities. So in this case, how many dollars goes with 1 unit of apples? So $2.50 for 1 apple. If we look at our first example, Sophie and her Sudoku puzzles, a question you may have is how do you know which quantity goes on top, puzzles or months, or which unit goes on top? We will be talking about that a lot next year. For right now, I just want you to go ahead and go in the order that it's written on this worksheet. So puzzles and months. So 10 puzzles divided by 2 months, or 10 puzzles per 2 months. To make it a unit rate, we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 2, which gives us 5 puzzles in 1 month. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Here's where we could also write that 5 puzzles per month. Okay, so when we ask you for the unit rate, this is fine, or this is fine. You do not have to write all 3. Let's go ahead and look at Edward. Edward uses 8 glue sticks in 4 weeks. So that's our rate. Our rate is 8 glue sticks every 4 weeks. Our unit rate is going to be found by dividing the numerator and the denominator by that denominator. So 8 divided by 4, 2. That gives us 2 glue sticks. And 4 divided by 4, which is 1 week. Our unit rate then, 2 glue sticks per week. I am not fitting this in that little space. Hopefully you are having better luck. Let us look at Katie. Katie is driving 10 miles for every 5 gallons, or 100 miles for every 5 gallons. So I'm going to go ahead and abbreviate that. 100 miles in 5 gallons. What are we dividing by? Dividing by the denominator. So she's driving 20 miles for every 1 gallon. 20 miles per gallon. I'm going to go ahead and keep going with the next few examples because there's just some different situations. If you think you're ready, just go ahead and do the bottom of this worksheet by yourself and then check with the key. All right, Jackson. I wanted to talk about this one because you're going to go ahead and write, his rate, 4 friends, 1 year. What do we do to find the unit rate? Well, you've already got it. So hopefully you notice sometimes you're given the rate and the rate is already a unit rate, just like in this case. Grandma V, she completes 1 crossword every 3 days. Now this is our first time where we have a denominator bigger than our numerator. So what happens when we divide the numerator by 3. What we get, we're going to write this as a fraction, is she completes 1/3 of a crossword, 1 divided by 3, every 1 day. That looks really weird. I would just write 1/3 of a crossword per day. So we needed to divide, just like usual, the numerator and the denominator by 3. 1 divided by 3, you need to understand that 1 divided by 3 is equivalent to the fraction of 1/3. Zahara typing 10 pages in 4 hours. So her rate, 10 pages, 4 hours. Ooh. We're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. 10 divided by 4, you could write it as 10/4. So 10/4 is the same as 5/2, which is the same as 2.5. So you can write 2.5 or 2.5, 2.5 pages in 1 hour. You could write 2.5 pages in 1 hour. I would go ahead and write 2.5 pages per hour. All right, go ahead and finish the front of this worksheet and then check it with the key.